Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today I'll be recommending you guys a movie by a very good Iranian filmmaker called Jafar Panahi. So, normally, when I tell people that I love Iranian movies and I ask them a question, I started with the question, what do you think about Iran? Normally, people think, it's like a barren land, or it's a very strict country, but most people, not most people, I think cinephiles or people who watch good cinema are aware of the importance or the beauty of Iranian or Persian films. But many people who are not aware normally have this misconception that Iranian films or Persian films are not good. So I always recommend people a few filmmakers like Abbas Kiarostami or Asghar Farhadi or Jafar Panahi. And in recent times, there are like other really good filmmakers like Saeed Rustai and all. But today I'll be recommending you a film by Jafar Panahi called Offside. It's a very beautiful film, and it is a very important film by a very important filmmaker in Iran, right? It's Jafar Panahi, as a filmmaker, has always been a critic of the regime, the Iranian regime, of the way things work in Iran, and he's been quite vocal about it, especially through his art form, which is cinema mostly. I mean, he was an assistant to Abbas Kiarostami, who himself was a very good filmmaker, but also, Jafar Panahi has made a lot of good films, but today I'll be talking about one of his films that I really loved. I mean, I've loved all of his films, but this is a movie that I've chosen to talk about. And I hope that I'll recommend you guys more of his movie. So it's a movie called Offside, and it's in simple terms, if I have to say, it's a movie about women in Iran trying to go and watch a football match. So mostly football matches in Iran that time used to happen with the male team playing, and Iran's football team is quite good in Asia. So, but in Iran, women were, and I'm not sure whether they still are, but they were not allowed to go and watch a football game where men are playing, right? So it's a story about these few women who dress up as men. They are dressing up as men, but even then they still have their, I think, hijab. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like the cloth they used to cover their hair. So they still have that, but somehow they are trying to dress up as men and enter into the football stadium and watch the game. And this happens a lot in Iran. This has happened a lot in Iran, and I believe it's still happening. I think because the women's rights is not that. I mean, no offense to their culture, but it's a little different from the other parts of the world. So, it's a movie about women in Iran trying to enter the football ground and watch a game. So you have it's a beautiful story because there are like multiple women characters in the movie, and the beauty of it is it's shot in like real time, so it's like an actual stadium, and there's like an actual crowd there, and there are like different women from different backgrounds. There was one girl who wanted to go because recently there were a few uh, children, or I think boys, killed in a football game. I don't know what it was, but it was one of her friends, so she wanted to go watch the movie for her. And there are all these girls who had their own stories, who had their own reasons to come and watch the game, but the end goal was to come and enjoy cinema, right? And there's a very beautiful scene in the film, and this again, Jafar Panahi's beautiful filmmaking. If you look at the technical aspect of the filmmaking, Jafar Panahi is not someone who really loves like sets, and there's not a lot of structured form of filmmaking that you see in Hollywood, right? It is just bare raw filmmaking. There's a camera in his hands, the characters, the people, and it just keeps on going. It's more about the story. The cinematography is mostly handheld, and most of the scenes are also handheld, and it's moving. It's like a longer take. Yeah, there are like cuts in between, which is important to show where the story is forwarding or where the story is going, but it's mostly handheld, and most of the things are happening in that sort, right? So there's a very beautiful scene in the movie which kind of represented the hypocrisy that is shown by the regime, or what I understood Jafar Panahi was trying to show. There's a scene in the bus, I think, when so this girl is in the bus and she's trying to like escape from all the men, in that she doesn't want other people to understand that she's a, or not understand but realize that she's a girl. So she's sitting in the corner, and then there's a fight breaks out in the bus. There's like people fighting, shouting and shouting at each other, swearing at each other. And then we find out the fight happened because there was one blind person traveling in the bus, and then one guy told that blind person that, why you come and watch a film, you're blind, why would you come, because you're blind, you can't see the game. And he gets angry, and then when the fight gets done, he says that, what if I can't see the game, I can still hear it, I can still enjoy it. It's very funny because a blind person can go and watch football in Iran at that time, but a woman couldn't. So there are many scenes like this which Jafar Panahi has used to represent what women under the Iranian regime were going through and are going through. And also the Offside, the name of the movie itself is very ironic, because offside in football basically means the last line of defense before the goalkeeper. So it's like a line that, like, now say that three defenders or two defenders, and the line that they have formed. So while passing the ball, if the striker or the guy who the ball is being played, or who the ball is being played to, is in front of the line, then it's a offside. So here, Jafar Panahi has used that as a reference, representing the line that the regime has crossed, or the Iranian culture has like put, so that women can't cross it and go and watch a beautiful game of football. So very beautiful film. There are like different characters, uh, you know, representing the daily lives and representing the people of Iran in general. And it's a beautiful movie that I would recommend all of you to watch. See, it's because Iranian movies in itself are like a rebellion, right? Because making movies in Iran is so tough. It's so very tough. Like Jafar Panahi himself, after I think two movies after this, was banned from making films. But what he instead did was he used a phone and used it to shoot a movie, and then he made like a movie which is shown as a documentary, but from what I believe is shot as a movie. And see, it's just beautiful how these people, these artists, are so brave to go out in the world and voice their opinions about the regime, or the things that are going wrong in Iran. And it's not just this. Jafar Panahi, as a filmmaker, has made so many wonderful films. Now, his recent movie that I was telling you guys about is a movie called Taxi. It's a beautiful film. It's a movie where he's driving a taxi and people come and sit in his taxi, and a few people realize that he's a taxi driver. A few people realize that he's Jafar Panahi, and the conversations keep going on. But through that, it's not just this movie, but any movie for that matter. But through this movie, Jafar Panahi is talking about the struggles of the daily Iranian people, or the mindset of the Iranian people, right? So a filmmaker like him is worth watching, and I request everybody to go and watch his film, especially the movie Offside. I think it's a very good place to start with, like Jafar Panahi. Yeah, I mean, there's one scene that stands out to me a lot in the movie, where they're traveling in the bus, and one of the guys goes and tells them that, oh, I think that's a girl. And his colleague or his friend responds saying, so what if it's a girl? So he's like, it's a girl, how can she enter the stadium? And he pulls him over and he shows him the other buses, and there are many girls in those buses, and he says that they have been doing this for a very long time. So don't be a nuisance to them, just let them be. Yeah, it's a very wonderful film. I think cinematography wise, as I said, it's handheld. It's mostly handheld, so it gives you a feeling that you are in that scene and you're witnessing it. There's a very beautiful scene where there's a guard, and so these are basically men. I think it's compulsory in Iran to be to like be in the army or something. These are guards who are men, and So they have stopped these women. I mean, these girls who had tried to enter the stadium but then got caught somehow. And he's like, like telling them that I have a farm, I have a cow, I have to go back. Why are you guys doing this to me? It's very ironic how all the women were doing was just try to go into the stadium, but in that security guards aspect, it was a crime, obviously, because he was a man and he was in that army, and he was telling them, "Why are you guys doing this to me? Why are you guys spoiling my life?" So it's a very beautiful, heartfelt movie, and I think that everybody should give it a watch. And after that, please start watching a lot of Iranian movies, because Iranian movies are going to change your life. And I love movies, but I'll go as far as to say that Iranian movies might as well be the best film industry. I mean, I don't like to call it industry, but the country that makes the best films in the world. I mean, from the past 2 3 decades, they have been making wonderful films. There's Abbas Kiarostami, who's made movies like And Life Goes On or Where's My Friend's House. There's Asghar Farhadi, who's made beautiful movies like The Salesman and A Separation. There's Jafar Panahi, of course, and one another recent Iranian filmmaker that I would recommend you guys to watch is a filmmaker called Saeed Rustai. I think I would be making one of my videos on him later on, but he's a wonderful filmmaker. I think even he got banned from making films in Iran. uh, so yeah, please watch this movie. I am recommending you guys to watch this movie, and in the next video, I'll be coming up with more good movies like this. So thank you. Uh, Please watch my channel. Thank you.